Hey, camera, Mark!
Mark, can I see you in position for a moment?
Everybody who's a Philadelphia Eagle fan who lives in the city knows who Vince Papale is.
To Vince Papale.
This guy from the 700 level. He came running down the stairs and tackled everybody.
Special teams is an attitude, and Vince personified that.
It's all about his heart and his willingness to sacrifice himself for something that he ultimately just enjoys to do.
It's just pure passion and enthusiasm.
To overcome all those things and really seeing the effect, this guy had on the town.
He played like a guy who had been handed his dream. But however long it was going to last, when it was over, he didn't want to walk away and regret a second of it. You had to be invincible to do what this guy did.
He was invincible.
He is invincible.
I am invincible, and this is my story.
From the mid-'60s to the late '70s, the Philadelphia Eagles were a study in futility.
Oh, this is a mess.
Hey, Coach! Thanks for the 3 wins! You're a bum!
This is a major, major mess.
The fans of this city were starved for a winner. They really needed something. They needed some hope. They needed something that suggested that there was a better tomorrow.
And now it gives me great pleasure to present the new coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
And Dick Vermeil represented that to the fans and to the city. His idea was, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to build a new kind of team, and I'm going to build it my way.
The previous administration had left him with a pretty bad hand, and he was desperate. And if it meant calling in the bartenders from around town, he'd do that.
See, Vince, that's another reason why you got to try out this weekend.
Nobody's trying out, Tommy, okay?
Why not?
We actually had an open house camp and just invited anybody who wanted to try out to come, and it was a kick.
You had guys who had played high school ball and hadn't played football for 4 or 5 years. You had the truck driver who lifted weights and always envisioned himself as an NFL lineman.
Take it off.
It's a circus. At times it's hard to take it seriously because so few of these guys have any chance of playing anywhere.
5-2 I got.
I've seen glaciers move faster.
But every so often, the right guy comes through the door, and in Philadelphia, that guy was Vince Papale.
Now what you want to do is grab your ankle, bend over and put your nose to your knee for a 5 count. We'll do it 3 times to the right leg and 3 times to the left.
You could see right away that he could run. He had pretty good speed. And in those days, someone who ran 4.6 was fast.
All right.
Of the group, he stood out the most. So I brought him to training camp.
That's it. All right, that's it. He didn't know anything about whether I could hit anybody, whether I would hit anybody. I don't think he knew about my college background.
Or lack of college background. You see, when Vince Papale arrived at Eagles training camp, he was a 30-year-old rookie who never played college football.
Vince played just 1 year of high school football, went to a college that didn't even have a football program, but a guy that really wanted to play football more than anything else. When he got out of college, he played rough touch football and was the best rough touch player in all of Delaware County, to the point where he was so good that other guys in the league said, well, you're fine in a touch league, but you can't play real football. And Vince took that as a challenge.
And the interesting thing about Vince was he went into college at 5'8", maybe 135 pounds. But when he came out, he was 6'1" and a solid 190. So he was a physically opposing guy, and he did have great athletic ability.
What Papale didn't have became evident as training camp began.
It was rather interesting to see him come out there, a 30-year-old rookie, working so hard with this huge desire to make things happen, but yet getting no respect.
I think that the guys on the team thought that I was a publicity stunt. Hey, who's this 30-year-old guy? You know, he's over on the rookie side. Nobody's saying much to me. I'm not saying much to anybody.
And I think initially there was a feeling that, how can we take this guy seriously? You know, what is his pedigree? What right does he really have to even be here?
And when you get somebody who is coming downfield and hitting everybody in sight during the practice sessions, they're thinking, who is this hot dog? What is this guy doing messing around with our careers?
What do you think you're doing out there, Pops?
What?
It's the first day of camp. Might want to settle down. Try helping out the ones who are actually going to make this team.
Then all of a sudden, later, you start getting in the kicking game, okay? And you have punt coverage drills and kickoff coverage drills and punt return drills and kickoff return drills. And he started to really excel. For never having played football, he knew how the game had to be played. And he liked the intensity of the game. He was passionate about it. It excited him to hit somebody. He didn't mind getting hit. He'd get up as quick as he could to show you, that didn't bother me. You know, I can take a hit.
They didn't have any wide receivers out there that were willing to just go out there and mix it up, you know, to bang heads, to get physical. And I was willing to do anything and everything within the law to make that team.
Despite a productive preseason, Papale's fate was still uncertain.
It's the day of the final cut, and we finally get out. We're going to do our stretches for a pre-practice on that Monday, and I'm counting around, and I was 30, 43, 44, 45, because I got to be the 45th man on the roster. Coach Ramil walks over to me, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is it. This is the cruelest joke you could ever have. You're going to cut me right now, right?
He was so insecure, and I know when he saw me walking toward him, a lot of things had to be going through his mind.
And he just looked at me, started smiling. He said, congratulations, old man. He says, you're a Philadelphia Eagle. And I just went absolutely bonkers. Tears were streaming down my eyes, you know, and I said, this is unbelievable.
I remember he must have had a vertical leap of 38 inches that day. He just went straight to the moon. Ran over to the people at practice, you know, when he found out, come out, I made it, you know, and this was a dream come true for the guy.
After making the team, it wasn't long before Vince Papale was making an impact.
I mean, here you have, you know, Vince, the Philadelphia guy from the 700 level, in his first game, regular season game, at the Vet, makes a very big play where he goes downfield and hits Robinson, forces a fumble, recovers, and sets up what proves to be the insurance touchdown in that game. And what I thought was kind of interesting was over the course of the year, people were asking, who is that 83? And they were asking it pretty quick.
And that was the thing. If you can play special teams, you can turn heads. And Vince was down there. He was a bomb squatter. He was somebody who played without any regard for the welfare of his body.
One word, launch. You know, one of those rockets you see at Cape Canaveral or Cape Kennedy, whatever they're calling it now. I mean, you launched Vince. He looked forward to a kickoff.
Vince had a lot of big hits that year. And he hit a lot of guys. He had a lot of guys that were free agents like him, and he hit a lot of first-round draft picks. I mean, it didn't matter. Whoever had the ball was going down.
I remember fumbles that he caused by just slamming into people at full speed.
I really didn't want him to fair catch. I wanted him to take that chance because I just wanted to just blow him up. And sometimes I get ticked off if I couldn't blow them up. So if they were on the ground, I'd just nail them anyway. So
It was nuts. I mean, it was nuts. I mean, when you make your living covering punts, covering kickoffs, making a football team, you got to be nuts.
He was nuts. You know, you always need some guys that are nuts. Those guys that jump out of foxholes and charge the enemy are maybe a little nuts.
In fact, you know, we had the T-shirts that we awarded every Saturday night after a game that we had won the previous Sunday. It said on it, "Who's nuts?" And we took pride in wearing those shirts because, you know, if you got one of those Who's Nuts shirts, man, that meant something. That means you were a guy that gave it all, that busted your butt to get down and make a tackle and break the wedge and sacrifice everything for the football team. Yeah, we were nuts, and Vince was the leader of the pack.
when they made him special teams captain, I thought that was really significant because that was really the final step in being established as not just a guy on the team, but someone that the other guys on the team looked up to. I think by the end of the season, even the most cynical and jaded of the veterans on that team recognized the fact that they had seen something very remarkable unfold that year.
Papale's rise from the sandlots to the NFL resembled another Philadelphia longshot who defied the odds.
Philadelphia guy from the neighborhood, 30-something, given no chance, told he can't do it. I mean, it's the same story.
Vince Papale became the fans of Philadelphia Sylvester Stallone. An Italian kid, the South Philly area, that they could visualize him being the guy hitting the beef in the freezer, you know, and coming down Old 9th Street over there in South Philly hitting the garbage can.
People here identify with those kinds of characters, you know, blue collar, you know, tough, Italian, very ethnic.
They want their athletes to have mud and blood and some tears and some sweat, and mostly they don't care if they get knocked down. They care that they get back up.
Look around. You know, Rocky's wearing number 83 and he's playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. It really is true. And the fact that Vince's story happened at the same time that Rocky was released and won the Best Picture really added to the legend.
He's a guy who had his shot, who only wanted to go the distance, and became an inspiration, not only for the city, but I mean, I think Vermeil credits him widely with helping restore a winning attitude back to the team.
In 1979, after 3.5 seasons with the Eagles, injuries forced Papale to retire. He was 34 years old.
What that team went on to accomplish in 79 and then in 80 when they went to the Super Bowl, Vince was a part of that. I mean, he wasn't on the field anymore, but he was part of that whole transformation and still a part of what that team ultimately became.
Jaworski gives off inside, running over, covering up the right side.
Well, the day we signed Vince Papale, I think that's the day the Eagles got free. I think they weren't afraid to say, hey, let's take a part of Philadelphia, put it right on that field, and we'll get to the Super Bowl.
Though his parents are gone, Papale's main support still lies within the foundation of family.
Everybody in their life needs a rock and needs that stability. I have that in my wife, Janet. I have Gabriella, and I have Vincent. And between the three of them, that's the perfect cornerstone. And I don't mean to say that to be sentimental or melodramatic, but they're everything in my life. And everything that I do right now is for my children and my wife. I'm just a guy that's in the middle and having a blast with them. And that's what drives me. One of these days, I'm going to vicariously be living my dreams through Mini Vinny. I got to tell you, I love watching him play football, and already I'm loving how he explodes. He's going to be something.
Way to hit that hole, baby. Good, Vinny. Run, man. Yeah. Go, Vinny. Yeah. Yeah, baby.
Wide receiver, Vince Papale. Vince Papale will probably be remembered as the free agent walk-on who defied football logic. But above all, his legacy will live on with the men he played with and the city he inspired.
Vince will always have a special place in this town because he did something that the other guys couldn't do. I mean, he took the passion of the Philadelphia fan, put it in a jersey, and threw it into the wedge on Sunday. I think he's going to be remembered as the physical manifestation of every fan's desire, going back generations. But it wasn't the kind of history that you're going to be able to look up in a record book. It's the kind of history that you're going to find in the heart of a city and in the people that go to the games. And in a sense, that's the greater history, because that's the one that lives on. People are going to remember him and his number and his desire and how they felt watching him play longer than they're going to remember guys that caught more passes and scored more touchdowns. Because to them, what Vince did said more about who they were as fans and as a city than anything else. And that's what his legacy is going to be.
In 1976, I dreamt of becoming a Philadelphia Eagle. And now, 30 years later, people are calling me invincible. Don't stop living your dream.